It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning and welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News on this Wednesday, the 13th day of October, 2021. I'm your host, Chillie Falls, coming to you from Bedford County, Virginia. It's in central Virginia, right outside of Lynchburg. And folks, many of you that have followed me for a long time know that if it's possible to be politically incorrect, I will do that. Today, folks, is No Bra Day. Seems to me it should be a national holiday. Seriously, folks, it's a day for awareness of breast cancer, and obviously from a cancer survivor, guys. I wholeheartedly endorse any efforts out there on making people more aware of that issue. And if you ladies want to take them off or burn them or anything else, that's fine with me. I don't care. So let's get on from that. Beam me up, Scotty. How's that? Blue Origin, just literally moments ago, guys, because it was delayed this morning, launched its rocket, the New Shepard, with an all-civilian crew. And I'm just glancing over. I don't know if they've landed yet or not. It's just they probably are down or very close to being down. But the all-civilian crew included Star Trek actor William Shatner, of course, who will become the oldest person to make the journey into space at 90. There's hope for all of us old fogies after all. So, actually, in the news today, there are got several things. Of course, Hurricane Pamela made landfall now about 2 hours ago. Cayman Islands say no to cruise ships. British Virgin Islands say yes to cruise ships. Oh, it's going to be a totally two different stories, I'll tell you that. Celebrity announces their 2023 Alaska plans already, and Disney in 2023 is going to sell from 5 U.S. ports. Southwestern Airlines situation, and this is a little different take than you've been hearing from many of the folks talking about the Southwest Airlines cancellations. And a bit of a follow-up to yesterday's Florida story. That all this morning on Wednesday, Travel and Cruise Industry News. And for the second day in a row, there are no cruise ships sailing today. But that will change tomorrow, I guarantee it. Okay. Hurricane Pamela has achieved landfall. Actually, on its way to doing that, it made landfall approximately 8:55 Eastern Daylight Time this morning. It weakened on Tuesday on its path toward the Mexican West Coast, then strengthened back into a hurricane again before approaching the state of Sinaloa, just up the coast from Mazatlan. Locations about 40 miles west-northwest of Mazatlan, which it came on shore. 75-mile-an-hour winds. The weakening process it went through yesterday dropped it back to a tropical storm and kept it from landing as a major hurricane, as was previously forecast. It is currently, it landed with 75-mile-per-hour wind, moving northeast at 14 miles an hour, pressures at 987, the last numbers I had. The center of Pamela made landfall near Estacion Dimas in west central Mexico, just north of Mazatlan. So let me see how I can do this. I'll take this off and put this up. And I have to take me off too. Mazatlan when it reached landfall. So this is the direction she's headed in. All right. So when it landed, of course, there was hurricane force winds, hurricane force bringing high winds and rain to Mazatlan and everything up the coast for some 80 miles. Pamela is now moving inland over western Mexico, started rapidly weakening as it moves further inland. Hurricane conditions, storm surge, high surf, and rip currents are expected to produce significant coastal flooding in areas near the center, probably from Mazatlan north, where it made landfall, through tomorrow. Pamela and its remnants are expected to produce the following rainfall amounts. This is pretty close to what we were at yesterday. Okay. Across Sinaloa, western Durango, and northern Nayarit, 4 to 8 inches with isolated maximum totals of 12 inches. Across portions of central Texas and southeastern Oklahoma, 3 to 6 inches with isolated maximum totals of 8 inches. The storm will quickly dissolve and turn into a depression by this evening before it reaches the Rio Grande River. As the storm weakens and moves north, the majority of central Texas will remain under threat of flash and urban flooding. The city of Rock Springs, which is about 100 miles west of San Antonio, could see up to 6 inches of rain between now and tomorrow morning, according to the National Weather Service in Austin. So it's aimed in the general direction of San Antonio. The 16th named storm of the 2021 East Pacific hurricane season. Now, remember, that's different from the Caribbean hurricane season that we talk about the most. Pamela has had weakened a bit yesterday before becoming a tropical storm, which eventually, of course, regained strength and landed as a hurricane, even though a strong Category 1 hurricane this morning. Now, in the Atlantic, there's just one little system left, and it is producing some, what's a low pressure system producing cloudiness and rain over Hispaniola, Turks and Caicos, and southeastern Bahamas. Relatively low chance of development. So, not counting on much from that. Yes, I glanced over at the comments. I do see that Captain Kirk is back on Earth. Thank you, Sonny, for that. So this was happening, breaking news, literally on the fly here this morning. That was pretty cool. All right, this is a troubling story, folks. The Cayman Islands, in all their wisdom, have decided not to allow cruise ships until at least 2022. Despite plans to open up further for international tourism, there are no plans to open up for cruise ships in any way in the Cayman Islands. While the ban now ends December 31st, the chances are that Cayman Islands will be banning cruise ships for many months after that as it rethinks its tourism strategy. The nation's cabinet officially approved an extension to the cruise ship ban, which has been in place since March of last year. The ban now is in place until December 31st, according to the Cayman News Service. Also, in the article that they posted about this, the ban could last well into 2022, possibly banning cruise ships on a long-term basis. This is the troubling part. In July of this year, the government announced that cruise ships would likely not be coming back until February, although it left the door open for a possible earlier date, which the cruise lines thought was going to happen. According to local news reports, support for the cruise industry's presence on the Cayman Islands is getting smaller every day. At the same time, locals also wish to focus on overnight tourism, such as diving, medical tourism, financial tourism for offshore banking. With the busiest time upon the Caribbean islands, somebody at least has a little more sense than the folks in Grand Cayman. That, of course, is a picture of Grand Cayman when I was there on my last cruise, actually next to last cruise, just before the shutdown. I did back-to-backs, got home, and that was done. That was it. Not sure how to handle this. They want to promote people flying to the Caymans and doing things there as opposed to cruise ships. They had approved building a new dock, a new pier for cruise ships. I'm not sure what happened to that. So it looks to me like the Cayman Islands has become another political issue, just like all this stuff is in this country, which is depressing. So, all right. Meanwhile, some good news. The British Virgin Islands is doing what it can to welcome the cruise industry en masse, with a wide variety of safety measures that will ensure the health and residents and cruise ship passengers' health. The area is ready for what it hopes will be close to the level of ships visiting the islands in the past. The winter months in this hemisphere have always been the busiest time for the Caribbean islands. It will not be any different this year for the British Virgin Islands, who, to return to pre-COVID levels when the entire 2017-2018 cruise year estimated 124,000 cruise passengers visited there, spent a total of $908 million. What is clear from the British Virgin Islands is that the islands remain a top destination for cruise ships. Many luxury cruise lines favoring the smaller outlying islands such as Jost Van Dyke and Virgin Gorda, while the bigger ships visit the capital, Road Town, and the cruise ship pier that is present there. This month, BVI only expects 4 calls from cruise ships: Seabourn Odyssey twice, Viking Orion, and the World. Ships will be visiting more frequently in November with 15 calls, like the Norwegian Encore is scheduled to go there, Norwegian Escape, Celebrity Edge, and the Disney Fantasy. In December, British Virgin Islands expect 36 cruise ship calls, and in January, it expands to 47 calls. Keeping everyone safe will be the essential factor when cruise ships do start visiting in large numbers again. For that, the government has set up several initiatives. First of all cruise line passengers above the age of 12, and that's likely to change, need to be fully vaccinated and pass an antigen test before sailing on board a ship calling on the BVI. So they're saying also, like the Bahamas, that the entire ship has to meet their standards, just like the Bahamas is requiring the entire ship to meet the standards. All of the excursion will be the bubble tour basis. In other words, you will only be able to go on approved tours from the cruise lines or from BVI itself. So that's not saying that you have to do a tour from the cruise ship itself. There will also be some tours that are within the bubble. In other words, all the people that are involved meet the requirements, as do the cruise passengers and cruise crew have to meet. Tour operators and taxi drivers will be required to bi-weekly testing and other requirements stipulated by the tourist board. The taxis and vans will need to be thoroughly sanitized between carrying cruise ship guests and local residents. So, British Virgin Islands are trying to do whatever they can to keep cruise passengers and cruise ships safe. Some people are going to take this as a negative, like some people took the Bahamas as a negative. Some people, politicians in particular, say, well, we're not going to let islands dictate our policy here. Politicians. The cruise, it puts the cruise line back in a bad position again. I hate to say this, and I'm all in favor of what the British Virgin Islands are doing, but it puts the cruise ships in a bad situation because they're going to want to take care of the destinations like British Virgin Islands, which means they need to sail with only vaccinated passengers, or they can't go there. That's going to bring the political issue back into play in the United States. I'll get to that in a minute. All right. I was kind of surprised to see this one break last night, rather late last night, would be considered early this morning for most of you, but Celebrity Cruises has announced plans for 3 of its ships to return to Alaska, not in 2022, in 2023. Cruises will begin May the 3rd, 2023 and run through mid-September. Here's the highlights of Celebrity's 2023 Alaskan season schedule. Some of you might want to make some plans on this now, particularly as we get to the end of this. Celebrity will sail round trip from Vancouver, passing through the Inside Passage twice. Celebrity Eclipse will offer 7-night itineraries to the Hubbard Glacier, as well as visits to Juneau, Ketchikan, and Sitka, or Icy Strait Point, one or the other. Celebrity Solstice will offer 7-night itineraries from Seattle and 1 9-night voyage, and will be the only Celebrity vessel to visit Endicott Armford and Dawes Glacier. Other stops include Victoria, Juneau, Skagway, and Ketchikan. Celebrity is betting that by 2023, Canada will be, in fact, back open for cruise ships. Obviously, this is subject to change if Canada does not come through with the approvals that are expected at some point in time. The recently renovated Celebrity Millennium will offer the opportunity to see more Alaska with 7-night open-ended cruises between Vancouver and Seward, that's right outside of Anchorage, the getaway to northern Alaska. Adding a cruise tour, this is why some of you might want to make plans for 2023. Adding a cruise tour before or after a cruise provides guests with a chance to explore more of Alaska. Celebrity will be offering 9 to 13-night cruise tours in 2023, where guests will stay in first-class lodging, ride the Wilderness Express, and visit destinations such as Homer, Anchorage, and Fairbanks. All right. 2023. Now, meanwhile, also in 2023, Disney announced its sailing schedule with ships departing from Miami, Port Canaveral, New Orleans, Galveston, and San Diego. The line's brand new vessel, Disney Wish, will sail from Port Canaveral, offer 3 and 4-night voyages to Nassau, Bahamas, and Disney's own Castaway Cay. Also from Port Canaveral, Disney Fantasy will begin the year of 2023 with 7-night cruises to a number of ports in the Eastern and Western Caribbean, plus one unique 8-night cruise that will include 2 days in Bermuda. From Miami, Disney Dream will set sail on 4- and 5-night cruises to destinations including Grand Cayman, Nassau, Castaway Cay, and Cozumel. And one special 5-night cruise aboard the Dream will include 2 stops at Castaway Cay. In January and February, Disney Magic will sail from Galveston on a variety of 4- to 7-night voyages to the Bahamas and the Western Caribbean, which ports of call will include Grand Cayman if they accept folks, as well as Progreso and Cozumel. And in February and March, the same ship will head over to New Orleans and operate 4- to 6-night cruises from the Big Easy to Mexico. The Disney Wonder will return to the West Coast in 2023, sailing from San Diego in April and May. So, amazing that they're getting this far ahead. I guess the cruise lines are so hurting financially that they're just doing everything they can to get bookings, which increases cash flow. I understand that, folks. Do know a little bit about business, not a whole lot, but a little bit. All right, there's been a whole bunch of Southwest Airlines cancellations, and some of the talking heads have been given all kinds of excuses. But here's an interesting take on the Southwest Airlines cancellations over the weekend. Our friend Sharon had one canceled, by the way. I don't know if she's here or not. I have not looked over that closely in the chat room yet. But this is how a good example of news traveling on 2 different tracks. In the part of the United States that relies on traditional media, rumors that cancellation were the result of a pilot protest over coronavirus vaccine mandates were dismissed because there was absolutely no evidence of that. Official entities such as Airlines, the Federal Aviation Administration, and the Southwest Pilots Unions all issued statements saying that was all phony, totally false rumors. But in the parallel universe of right-wing social media and television, and I won't mention any names, the rumors were treated as true. Lawmakers such as Andy Biggs from Arizona, Ted Cruz from Texas, tweeted in support of airline employees who supposedly were fighting vaccine mandates. That's what they said on conservative television and conservative politicians. And the airlines and the unions and all say, no. Had nothing to do with vaccine mandates. All right, taking a little bit of heat about my story yesterday about Florida. That how dare would I question the state of Florida and its handling of the situation. Well, since I did my story yesterday, the Florida Health Department has levied a $3.5 million fine against Leon County for violating the state's ban on vaccine passports. According to the state health department, this is a blatant violation of the law, outlining a fine of the $3.570 million fine because Leon County government officials had required employees to provide documentation of their COVID-19 vaccination And 14 people refused to do that and were dismissed. The department noted 714 counts of violation of the ban. Now, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, that's who you see there on that little picture, that's Governor DeSantis, had cited freedom and privacy concerns as the primary basis for his vaccine passport ban in April, and later vowed to fine counties and cities in the state in violation of it, as he has the cruise lines. The fines underscore the Republican governor's broad resistance to public health measures and mandates that experts say are key to curbing the pandemic and preventing future outbreaks. If he will fine his own citizens to that amount, how long is it going to take him to fine the cruise lines as well? That's my question to you guys. And the other question that I had is, I wonder who paid him to put a mask on. Goodness, I'm surprised a picture would be allowed with the governor and a mask. Oh, that's awful. And of course, there's always idiots around, folks. That was in Mazatlan yesterday afternoon as the hurricane approached. I bet they weren't out there when the sucker landed this morning. Even though it was only a 1, it was a hurricane that hit just right up from Mazatlan. So, I didn't actually have a chance to do some of the things that I wanted to do. I'm going to add a couple things. I debated whether I would add this or not. Governor DeSantis' handling of the pandemic has positioned him at odds with President Biden, who has elevated vaccine mandates as an important tool in the U.S. national response. And many of us that deal in the cruise industry and promote or behind the cruise restart agree with that position. Agree with President Biden's position. Governor's fight with the White House, as is the case with the policies he pushed opposing mask mandates and lockdowns, helps him with a narrow but politically powerful segment of the Republican Party, which boosts his national prominence ahead of the 2022 elections and the 2024 presidential bid, possibly. Of course, there is another name that might enter into that, and I won't mention the name. If DeSantis is heading toward a presidential thing, then that could make things really interesting in Florida. If the governor decides he wants to run for president and the other person then down there in Florida decides he's going to fight that one. Interesting, I say. And I try to do is not making a political statement. It's really hard not to show a political side when you're so totally opposed to what Governor DeSantis does. But then I'm equally upset with Democrats. So don't get me started on them either, because I could blast them just like I'm blasting Governor DeSantis. Absolutely ridiculous that they can't pass legislation, not because of the Republicans, but because of themselves. That's another idiot thing. So I'm not going to get on that rant today. Let's go see who's fussing at me or if anybody understood anything that I said today. Gretchen's with us. Hi, Gretchen. Carol's with us. Kenneth's list is Kenneth and Robin up in Pennsylvania. Cindy says, my last day at work before my Carnival Horizon. Sweet. Cruise leaving Saturday. Well, this weather will be all gone by then, and things will be safe and sound for Cindy and Jason's Carnival Horizon cruise. We will try to maintain contact with them wherever Wi-Fi signals allow. Jack's with us down in Conroe, Texas. Gretchen's here. Yes, they're on. Everybody's saying that they did land when I was in the process of getting on air when they were actually up in the air. So or they maybe came down just in a minute or so before. I'm not sure which. Gretchen says she's so jealous. Jack says hi to everybody. Nikki's with us. So excited for you. The anticipation is delicious. Sonny's with us. She says morning all. Humidity is high. Jack says the humidity down in Texas is high too. Makes you feel like a boiled peanut. Yeah, and it's interesting. Texas now with Pamela coming in the back door from what Texas is used to. And it could dump a lot of rain from, whatever it is, right over the Rio Grande River up toward San Antonio and areas actually just to the west of San Antonio. It looks the most likely tracked, but there's going to dump a lot of rain in Texas and up into Oklahoma even. Sunny says, Cindy, how fun. Hope to hear from you Saturday and Sunday on here. Cindy says, thanks, y'all. Doing my home test tonight after midnight. Good. Sonny says, hello to Jack. Pamela will give me about a 40% chance of rain. Yeah, all the way over to Houston, I would say that's, you could get some of the outer band kind of rain showers and stuff from it, much like I've had here a couple times this year. We just haven't had any bad weather this far inland from any of the storms that went up and down the coast. Sonny asked Cindy which home test you have. I hope she got that. Cindy says, Abbott Binex Now, ordered from the link provided by Carnival, $69 for 2 tests. Sonny says, can't wait to see how that comes out. Yeah, me too. All right, guys. I have another busy day ahead of me. Of course, I got therapy I'm headed to first. And then I've got some running around to do. I did last night, just so you'll know, some of you have been following the exploits of me buying a new car for me. It's not new in the car world. It's a used car, folks. But I do have, when you buy something today, if you're careful with how you do it, I can trace back every oil change on this car, which back in my day when I sold cars, hell, you didn't know anything about that. But now, I have the entire history of this vehicle from the day it was purchased on through. And it's a one owner. They're local. And I even know some of the people that have worked on the car for, oil change and stuff, and said nothing wrong with it. It's just, it has there's one little rock ding on the passenger door. That's the only thing that's wrong anywhere in that entire car. One little rock ding that could be easily fixed. But anyway, I took Amanda, my niece. We went out to dinner last night. We've started going back a little bit now since numbers are heading in the right direction. Although we had a kind of an unusual spike in the hospital numbers yesterday here in Lynchburg. But we have been going out to dinner, some, not every night like we used to do. But I said, hey, Amanda, why don't I drive tonight? Because I wanted to see also how to handle my oxygen tank when I have a passenger. So I just put it in the back seat. I took my nose piece off and hung it over the front seat and got, closed the back door, got in the front door, put my oxygen on, and I was fine. I mean, I've got more than enough, it's under my shirt, tubing from this to do that. So that's what I did. And I drove to dinner last night rather than somebody driving me. So that's was a good thing for me to do. I like doing that. So I've been getting tired of people chauffeuring me around, except when I'm out on my own. So, but yeah, Nikki, it was a pre-owned car, but it is new to me because I haven't had anything this close to new for a long time. Because my truck was on 23 years old. I just broke it in good, for heaven's sakes. But and the only reason I'm getting rid of the truck is because it's just terribly uncomfortable for getting in and out of with the catheter and the oxygen. So anyway, like the new car, really good. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. You guys have a terrific day. By the way, if you're new to this channel, welcome aboard. I hope I didn't offend too many people with my rants. I do this on occasion. I try to stay non-political and just stay totally positive about the cruise industry, except when the cruise industry screws up, and I'll rant at them too, as some of them have found out over the years. But anyway, welcome aboard. We have a lot of fun. As you can see, my folks in the chat room carry on constantly amongst themselves, and we interact as much as we can. So one of these days, we're all going to get together on a cruise, which will be fabulous. So anyway, I do have Elizabeth is out on location today, so we're probably going to have something tomorrow from Elizabeth on location down in Mexico. I just will point that out. So that's going to wrap me up today, folks. I will see everybody back here at 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow for Thursday travel and cruise industry news. For now, this is the old fat travel guy. Later, y'all. I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.